All right, so greetings everyone. Welcome to the Enabling the User Workspace presentation. My name is Oscar Sanchez, and today I have Todd Lakeout as well too. We're both sales engineers here at Novell North America. There's a lot of content that we got to cover right now, so let's get started, okay? Let's first discuss the how IT organizations can enable this user-centric workspace, okay? As new generation of workers enter the new job market, they are bringing a very different set of habits and attitudes with them to including things such as non-negotiable expectations that they can get the work done anytime from any location using whatever device, connection, and collection of applications that happen to be most convenient to them, right? Novell Frameworks embraces and enables this kind of user-centric workspace experience by extending 5 key capabilities to any user, device, and wire or wireless connection. Automation capabilities that run through the entire ThingWorks product family so you can manage the increasingly complex mix of user devices, applications, and information in your organization in less time with less effort. A single pane of glass management paradigm that consolidates all 7 ThingWorks products and management functions into a single ThingWorks control center. This gives you a complete integrated and uniquely user-centric view of your devices, of your corporate devices, and your corporate workspaces, and makes it easier to deliver IT services and resources quickly and efficiently. Then we have security. Security that extends far beyond the boundaries of your corporate environments to give users appropriate location-aware access to applications and information from any device and on any connection that they happen to be. Then we have compliance. Compliance solutions for traditional desktops and laptops, mobile devices, and applications that never force you to choose between flexible remote access and the compliance requirements of your organization. And finally, we have user self-services. User self-services that allow users to get the app's resources, information, and support they need quickly and easily so they're never tempted to take matters on their own hands and basically go around bypassing or working around our IT organization. So there are 3 key benefits of providing this user-centric workspace. These benefits are: the first one is increased user satisfaction and productivity by meeting user needs through providing self-service by saying yes and allow and provision all those new and exciting new devices, personal or corporate. By freeing up IT resources and optimize the speed and agility by supporting automation of common processes and tasks, by integrating the needed technologies and tools to manage those user devices, by slashing the time required to test and deploy applications using virtualization. And by providing the business with the benefits and being in compliance and secure by knowing what you have and maintain those users and those devices secure as well too. By providing a management paradigm that focuses not just on the devices but on the user that uses those devices. And by reducing the overhead of the standard tasks, automating as much as possible. This is key when it comes to managing those devices. So enable the new challenging workspace by creating or enabling that efficient sales-oriented IT organization that will promote productive and certified and happy users. So now let's talk about how Novell Frameworks can help IT organizations enable this workspace, okay? With today's increasing user expectations, the number of varieties of mobile devices and cloud services and inevitable breakdown of the boundaries between work and personnel, it is probably an understatement to say that IT environments that support modern workspaces are growing more diverse and complex. I'm sure everybody can agree with that. In the face of this complexity, higher and more sophisticated levels of automation become absolutely essential, because without automation, complexity quickly turns into a real chaos. So Manage the increasingly complex mix of users, devices, applications, and information in your organization in less time and with less effort. Work smarter, no longer. Most client management solutions manage devices. SendWorks manage users, so you don't have to touch every device. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by work smarter and no longer. So how about fast and easy provisioning? In this case, all I want to talk about is that SendWorks and SendWorks suites can be provisioned very quickly with a wizard-driven install process, and even you can actually deploy via virtual appliances as well too. How about fast add packaging and deployment with things such as AdminStudio, SendWorks Application Virtualization Studio, and also the Bundle Commander, which makes it easy to package and deploy applications. SendWorks Configuration Management Virtual Application Server also makes it easy to deploy applications to both managed and unmanaged devices, and it's also provide a way to deploy this application with less scripting work required. You'll see some examples of that as well too. About fast, no-fuss imaging. So people, use whatever imaging system works best for you. SendWorks allows and supports Windows imaging, semantic goals, as well as our SendWorks native imaging formats as well too. What about reducing time, or the unnecessary time to travel to those devices? Avoid that with remote management. This means never having to drive, fly, or walk to solve the user's problems. With application management, this means no more walking to the device to deploy any software. And also another example of this would be the full disk encryption. You can deploy full disk encryption that basically allows you to, you can deploy from anywhere from your desktop, and also actually recover forgotten pre-boot authentication passwords as well. So reduce time and travel. How about one central management console? Down the hall, down the street, across the country, or around the world. This is me, okay? I'm all over the place, and then definitely always can access my tools no matter where I am. So what about user-centric policy-based location-aware endpoint management? This is what we're going to be talking about here in a short time, which allows you to manage the user and their devices. It doesn't matter where those users are. You can still manage those users with SendWorks Suite. Set up and forget, not touch endpoint management. This is one of my favorites. Apply policies to users and devices to direct actions. Configuration will follow the users from device to device and from the cradle to the grave. Okay, provision, configure, secure, maintain, and remediate those users' devices from new to retirement. All right. Okay. So we talk about automation, right? And so let's talk about the automation capabilities of the SendWorks Suite, such as to stop visiting those devices, application automation, quick and repetitive task, user and device provisioning, AdminStudio, SAP Studio, Bundle Commander, imaging from the very beginning. There's a lot of stuff right here that covers the automation pieces of it. Starting with stop visiting those devices. The SendWorks Suite allows you to manage those devices from a central point. We're going to talk about the console. Go to the device, and from that device in the management console, you can perform a number of activities that you can see in front of you on your screens, from assigning policies, bundles, images, full disk encryption policies, and so forth. More into stop visiting those devices. You can, like I said, it's another example of things you can copy, you can configure, you can retire the devices, you can take an image, as I said previously. So this is just an example of one device that I can do from a number of repetitive tasks. That's what I'm trying to say, is stop touching those devices. I can do a number of repetitive tasks from my SendWorks Control Center. Now, more again into stop visiting the devices, save on time. What about remote management? With SendWorks, you can actually remote devices, whether they are inside of your corporate firewalls as well as they are outside as well too, even when their devices are netted as well too. On the topic of automation for applications, this is just about the most solid, simple automatic packaging and deployment and management of all your applications through the entire life cycle. So for me, for us, application management, it is really a uniquely policy-based application management that allows me to automate software setup, updates, healing, and migration for desktop applications. What you see in front of you is known as the 5 action sets. Or is also known as the application lifecycle, which allows for crafting the applications to work properly by adding whatever logic is required for the application to run and to run well. It's not just deploying an MSI, or it's not just deploying an executable. You can add whatever logic is desired there to make that application do what it's supposed to do and run as it is intended. More now into user and device provisioning. So with the integration of any user source such as eDirectory or Active Directory, you can provision a user directly. You can provision things such as bundles and applications. Imagine configuring policies that define what users in a specific groups get in terms of access, application, and other resources. Imagine just creating a new user identity and just associate this policy to automate all the required provisioning. When the user role changes, the rights, access, and the application provisioning automatically will change based on the new role, right? So user automation means IT doesn't have to touch endpoint devices to make changes. They can go through the user's account, and the change will cascade to every device that the user uses. Okay, so now we got tools, more tools. The AdminStudio 2014, the ThingWorks edition, is a customized version of the Flexera software AdminStudio standard edition that integrates with the ThingWorks very well. With this, you can actually do some of this stuff. You can actually capture legacy software installations and packages, and then repackage them as a Windows installer MSIs. You can customize Windows installer packages, edit the package, add, modify, remove files, registry entries, shortcuts, directories, any custom actions to run Vivid scripts and whatnot, and the list goes on, and then repackage the application. You can create transforms to customize Windows installer packages and then add it back to the package via ThingWorks, and then you can publish all this stuff as a Windows bundles to the via the ThingWorks system, so you can actually deploy and provision the users of the devices. The next great tool is this App Studio. This is a tool that packages all your application files, settings, runtimes, and other components into a single compact executable that runs immediately and runs anywhere. And those applications really act just as they were installed locally, even though the OS or the registries and the runtimes environments are not changed at all. With this, you can actually create applications based on the web templates, which has a large collection of templates available for you to build applications. You can also create applications by what is called harvesting, or basically is a scan to the device or the workstation for applications and specific settings, and then grab those and then create the virtual application. As well as that, you can always, do manual installations of your applications where you go yourself and install and add pieces to it, and then virtualize the application as well too. Then we have the bundle commander. The bundle commander is for ThingWorks, provides a simple way to create Windows bundles, ThingWorks Windows bundles, in a simple and very intuitive way. It helps with automation and configuration and repackages of a bunch of things like silent automated switches for legacy setups, configuration parameters to switch off the update notification mechanisms, and some applications are passed. It allows you to customize the MSI setups as well too. It helps you with getting rid of non-managed icons and replace them with managed ThingWorks icons. So it really it allows you to add more logic, make the application run, but it's ThingWorks aware 100%. Okay, so how about bare metal device provisioning? We're still talking automation, right? So what about creating non-register images rules that would allow me to get a new laptop, open the box, plug it into the LAN, and if the device, goes to do whatever, finds my ThingWorks server, and it finds that it matches that rule that my administrator has configured, at that point, my image comes down. So the image should, it can or should contain all the specific logic required to make this device fully functional before the user gets his or her hands on it. And for this, you should leverage the ThingWorks script image bundles on ThingWorks. Alrighty, so this is a single pane of glass management paradigm that consolidates all 7 ThingWorks products and management functions into a single ThingWorks control center. This gives you a complete integrated and uniquely user-centric view of your diverse corporate spaces and devices, and makes it easy to deliver IT services and resources quickly and efficiently. I'm going to call this the one-stop interface. Okay, the one-stop interface basically that allows me to see and control a variety of configuration, asset, security, and patch policies. The Novell ThingWorks Control Center provides easy access to important tasks and device information through a centralized browser-based interface that features system dashboards, workflows for building, deploying policies, seeing hot lists, and other tools as well too. It is an adaptive console that grows with you as you purchase or enable new capabilities. It leverages common skills across all the disciplines for management. Once you learn one feature, basically you're comfortable with that. Basically you're good to go for all the rest of the features as you configure those as well too. All right. So that was a single pane of glass. So let's talk about and let's go to some of the examples that utilize and leverage that single pane of glass, such as the single console to configure them all, how easy it is to learn, access the console from any location, role-based management administration that is very important as well too, and enabling and disabling features on and off, how easy it is. So let's jump into that. My friends, this is the picture of the ThingWorks Control Center. From here, you can perform all management tasks on any, basically from any ThingWorks server that has the console loaded, because it is web-based and basically allows me to have that central control that can access from basically any supported workstation, right? So I'm on top of things because I know that the console is there and I can get to it no matter what. It's easy to learn. The ThingWorks products are fully integrated. You manage them through the single console, which means that once you know how to manage one, really you know how to manage them all. The learning paradigm in the skill sets comes across. There's no really reason to specialize in you are the Windows manager, you are the Mac ThingWorks guy, you are the Linux ThingWorks guy. Basically, one guy can basically use the same skills to manage all those devices and users equally. Right, so access to the console, yeah, it is a web-based, as I mentioned earlier to you guys, and it gets installed on every server, so chances are that I will be able to get to it no matter what, right? So also, I can, like I said, this is me, I can get this down the hall, down the street, across the country, or around the world. From any browser, I can actually get to my ThingWorks console. Easy to use. Let's talk about role-based administration. The roles features allows you to specify rights that can be assigned as roles for ThingWorks administrators. You create a specialized role, then assign administrators to that role to allow or deny then basically what they can do based on that. For example, you could create a help desk role basically that's going to limit access or what they can do with the ThingWorks Control Center without having them to have super admin rights in order to do what they have to do. You can get very creative with the access rights that they can do with the specific roles, and then you can assign administrators to that role as well too. Let's talk about features on and off, okay? In this example, you can see basically that we have some features enabled, activated, configuration management, patch management on the left side of the picture, and asset management as well too. You can see also on the bottom of it what it says product license and what is actually activated or enabled and so forth. Now, after activating additional features by just providing either the registration key or a new license key, the new management functionality becomes available on the navigation panel, which is right once again on the left right there. You can see, for example, now you can see endpoint security, and then you can see also full disk encryption as well too. Once again, it is that simple. You know, the console grows with you, okay? So now we're back now on the next session, which is the security session. How about extending this security far beyond the boundaries of your corporate environment to give your users appropriate location-aware access to applications and information from any device or any connection at the push of a single button, right? So here are the novel capabilities that enable that security, okay? The same with endpoint security, full disk encryption, configuration management, patch management, and configuration management as well too. And sure enough, let's go see and show you a little bit of those capabilities as well too. So let's walk through those as well. First one is security policies. Why not secure your users within? You know, with this policy, you can control a device's access to removable storage devices, wireless networks, and applications. In addition, you can actually secure the data through encryption and secure network communication via firewall enforcement, such as ports, protocols, and access control lists. And you can change an endpoint device's security based on that location because we're location aware. This is an example of the policies that you can do. They're very easy to do and configure and deploy to manage security on those on locations. How about full disk encryption? So how about doing this without leaving your desk? You know, would that be cool or what? So SandWorks full disk encryption supports encrypting IDE drives and SATA drives as well too. The disk encryption allows me, and like for example in this section, it allows me to configure what volume is going to be encrypted. I can choose the encryption level, so that as well too. And I can choose things such as whether allow or not allow the end user to create the emergency recovery information ERI files that can be used to regain access to encrypted volumes in case that something goes wrong or problems occurs in that device. On this section of the policy, I can also configure things such as the encryption reboot control, and also configure the administrator password that enables access to the administrator options on the encryption agent on those devices. These options help you to see the current status of the encryption, to troubleshoot the policy if you need to, and so forth. And also allows me to configure things such as, again, what's the reboot behavior and whether or not I wanted to do a check this before I apply the, before I actually start encrypting the drive, which is not a bad idea in some devices. And then also there's another great capability on the FDE policy that allows me, once again, I'm deploying full disk encryption sitting on my desk, that allows me to assign a pre-boot authentication and a single sign-on at the same time. The SandWorks pre-boot authentication basically is a component that gets installed in this very small Linux partition on the hard drive, and logging to the device actually occurred right at that PVA, the pre-boot authentication. The pre-boot authentication supports single sign-on, Windows single sign-on, which enable users to enter the set of credentials, either a user password and or even a smart card, to log into the SandWorks PVA, and then we actually pass that authentication through the Windows operating system as well too. And finally, continuing the FDE, how about providing emergency support to those wounded encrypted devices without having to be physically at that device? This is the purpose of the emergency recovery ERI file. The device's ERI file can be used to recover, again, encrypted data on emergency situations such as, for example, a drive will not start. Full disk encryption agent has been removed without decrypting the hard drive first, or decrypting was interrupted because the power failure and so forth. The ERI file is the information is actually stored in the SandWorks database, and it's accessible via the SandWorks Control Center. So you have it there in order to actually recover from those nasty problems that users are about to encounter sooner or later. All right, so let's talk about user and workstation policy management, because we're still talking about really security. With Windows configuration policies that lets you configure policies and be supplied by SandWorks, to those managed devices. Okay, in this case, the policies are configured with a good old Windows policy editor, and then they get imported into the ThingWorks for assignment and deployment to those Windows devices. You can get very creative with any of those policies. There's also a number of user policies for provisioning and securing the users on those devices as well. I'm just picking up an example right here. This is the dynamic local user policy, which lets you dynamically create users and their profiles and manage also existing users on devices that are already managed by ThingWorks, only after the user has authenticated to a user source. A user source being either an e-directory or an Active Directory. This policy lets me do things such as what am I going to do, how with the user credentials? Do I let them use the user credentials from the user source? How about if I just say, okay, you can log in into this device as Oscar, but once you log in, my policy is going to take over and it's going to say, I'm going to log you in as factory floor worker number 1. So that user and the user profile is actually the one that's going to be running in that machine while I'm actually running or logging as Oscar. Things such as managing existing versus non-existing user profiles in that device. If I happen to be logged into that machine and have a profile existing in that machine, what do I do with that? Do I edit the profile? Do I manage it? Or what's the behavior in that? Also, a very good feature right here is the volatile user, which allows me to, in simple terms, is that I can log into this machine. I never had a profile on this machine. The profile gets created on the fly, and then as I leave and log out from that machine, that user profile gets actually removed from the local machine. That's what it means by volatile. And there's also a great feature which allows me to, as I log into the machine, because of the policy, I can be put into a user group, a member group, right? Whether it's administrator or user, or the list goes on. And finally, there's another really cool feature right here that this policy allows me to do, which allows me to manage dynamic local users file systems right to that device. This is very cool, very unique to us. So I can log in as Oscar Sanchez to a device. I'm a simple user, but that policy says I'm going to give you access to a specific file folder that you don't have on that machine. All this is manageable via this policy. Okay, so moving into a critical quick patch and remediation. All right, let's do this. So how about clicking into the ThingWorks Control Center, selecting patch management on the navigational panel, going to find those critical patches needed, okay, then select what you want, and then deploy it to then either now or based on a schedule. That's how easy it is, okay? Once you deploy that, once you select the devices and the schedule and so forth, then basically you're good to go. That's how simple it was, okay? So that brings me into compliance, my friends, and I know we got 30 minutes into this. Compliance. The Novell ThingWorks Suite offers a set of compliance solutions for traditional desktops and laptops, mobile devices, and applications that never force you to choose between flexible remote access and the compliance requirements of your organization. Enabling the user workspace and maintaining compliance means that it allows me to be aware of the risks and costs due to non-compliant assets. It allows me to identify and track assets through the life cycles. It allows me to plan, control, and analyze costs as well too, and allows me to do asset reconciliation and reporting, and also manage vendors, suppliers, contracts. And I can also identify unauthorized or unused or undeployed software. Novell helps you eliminate compliance concerns with these following capabilities: the same with patch management, asset management, mobile management, and application virtualization. So let's jump into the compliance examples. So the first one is asset management, software, license tracking, policy-based patching, and reporting. So let's go into that, okay? So let's talk about compliance with asset management and software discovery. So what about if you could go into your environment and discover what manufacturer products are installed on your devices? Something that will give you a view of magnitude what's actually there, and then you go and become more curious about it, and you want to drill down into more details on those to discover things such as what's really installed, what is running, how I see the application is being used, and how things such as how many of those do I have, how many hours is the application really being used, how many hours is the application truly being active in the front screen rather than the back screen. Okay, knowing this would allow you to easily make more intelligent decisions on your future purchase or software renewals next year. Wouldn't you agree with that? Okay, so what about license tracking? What about if I have a way to get into my Sales Control Center and from the get-go, I'm actually notified really quick, but visually that something is wrong. Okay, I see the Microsoft Office 2007 has an X. What is the X about? So if I go and become more curious about it, then I'll drive into it, into more details in that one to discover that I have installed 8 installations of the Office 2007, but I'm only licensed for 5, so therefore I'm basically, I got -3, so I'm not in compliance at this point. All this is very easy access to me, is right from the get-go at the Sales Control Center. Now, policy-based device patching. So how about making those devices secure so you can continue being in compliance, right? So with a set and forget policy-based device patching that will allow me to set rules that define what are the patches needed on my devices to be in the compliance required, and just by simply assigning that policy to devices, okay? So I can craft the policy, the rules, okay, and then assign it to my devices, my corporate devices, and guess what? Whoa, no more panicking on Super Tuesday. This is a beautiful thing. This is set and forget policy management, okay? Now, it's all cool, but what about really proving compliance, proving that I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to do, about using reporting and the reporting capabilities? So then obviously, you can use the Novell Service Reporting Server to generate, create the reports needed to see your current compliance state. The compliance state, the reporting server will allow you to use a number of predefined reports available to you. Like I mentioned earlier, have the capability to easily create new reports that actually fit what you're actually looking for, right? So, and let's jump into one example right here. This is a compliance report about a critical patch status. In this case, we're looking at Adobe systems. You can tell what's patched, what's not patched, and a lot of information. You will see errors if something happens and so forth. So there's another example right here, and this one actually takes us into software compliance. From here, I can quickly see, this is just an example I'm picking up right here, that tells me the compliance status of the Microsoft Office 2007 out of all the ones. This is the one that we talked about earlier, and you can tell basically, I have installed 8 of them. I have license for 5. I'm on the license as 3, and I can easily, choose to publish and export those reports through any of those formats that you see in front of us, the PDF, Excel, and so forth. But there's more stuff. What about the policy enforcement? Okay, we'll talk about policies, leveraging policies to really, secure those users and those users' devices. What about knowing what I have sent out, the full disk encryption policies? There's a way to actually prove that I'm actually, providing that my devices are still, in compliance. Sure enough, sure is. There's an example right here. What about the status for that dynamic local user policy that we talk about that allows me to configure, the user and the user profiles on that machine? There is also a status report that can actually tell me the enforcement status of that, so I can be in compliance or not. So you can see the reporting really has a great functionality. So you can prove your compliance as well too. This brings us into the user service portion of this conversation. As you know, today's self-service is about more than really allowing the users to reset their passwords. This used to be the old self-service stuff. It is about giving them a complete set of tools to solve problems and gain access to new apps and information quickly and from any device and from any location. So empowering users with a complete collection of self-server tools obviously reduces the burden of IT in your IT organization or IT departments. But it also removes the motivation of users to look for answers and resources from outside, unsecure, and non-compliant sources. This is what we refer to as shadow IT. So to make self-service central, part of your Workspace strategy today, Novell has built self-service capabilities into a variety of SendWorks products. Those are the Novell Service Desk, the Novell Application Launcher, the Novell Mobile Management, and Novell SendWorks Application Virtualization. So let's go see some examples about this self-services provisioning and enabling. So for that, what I'd like to do for this section, I would like to bring and invite my co-presenter and partner in crime, Todd Laycott, to talk about this capabilities. Todd, can you take it over?
Yep, thanks, Oscar. So when we talk about user self-service, one of the first things that you think about or should be thinking about is the service desk. It's where you want your users to go to find all the information they need for what tools are available, what solutions they might be able to implement on their own. And just as an example here, we have the service desk knowledge base section up where the users can browse through the accumulated articles and solutions and frequently asked questions to try to find the answers themselves or search for it. We also have a section for a service catalog where users can see there we go, a service catalog where users can see what services are provided to them, what services are available to them, what they can request as far as applications being installed, or what services they may have questions about how to configure, how to get access to, how to fix if something's broken. So just as an example, if we go through the VPN access here and create a new request, this user is asking, how do I configure VPN access on my Mac? And since it's a question, when they save that, that submission, that request, Service Desk comes up with a couple of proposed solutions for them based on the content of their request. Here we see there's two different solutions. If they click on the one for how do I configure VPN on OS X, they see the solution here. They might be able to follow it themselves. If they are, they can hit resolved, and they've just set up VPN for themselves without having to wait for IT to be able to respond to that request. We're really trying to get them to help themselves. Beyond that, the Service Desk is great for that point of contact, but then what about for people who have devices? They may need something done on those devices. For example, mobile management. There's a lot of capabilities here for the end user as far as self-service for mobile devices, where you can see the number of devices you've connected to ZenWorks. In this case, I've got an Android, that Nexus, and an iPad, and the options I'm able to use. Do I want to selectively wipe out my device, just pull back off all the corporate data if it was lost or misplaced, or maybe my kids have gotten hold of it or something along those lines? If I want to locate my device to figure out where it last was when it checked in, and it checks in routinely with the enterprise version of the app every 30 minutes, I think, by default. Do I want to lock the device? If I set it down somewhere and it doesn't have an automatic lock, I can send the command right from here. Do I want to do a full wipe, factory reset, so that nothing is left on it? Everything is wiped out, and I don't have to worry about anyone getting hold of my family photos or my corporate data. If I forget the passcode that was forced on me because someone put a 20-character limit with 4 different character sets, and I just can't remember that, don't find where I wrote down the passcode, I can clear the passcode to be able to reset it, all on my own without IT being involved. And when we get to managing certificates for identity, for password, for private keys, for example, I don't want to give that to IT and have to tell them what my password is for that private key. in order for them to upload it. I want to be able to do that myself. When we look at applications, these are all the applications the IT administrators made available to us as the end users. Some of them, as you see Novell in hand at the bottom, are required. Some of them are available to me to install at my will. And I can click on these right from here, have it install automatically onto my device, or do it from the ZenWorks app on the mobile device as well. But when we talk about applications, it's not just about mobile devices. It could also be a Windows device that you brought from home. A bring your own device trend is more than just mobile devices now, it seems. It's also laptops and potentially even desktops. So for the administrators, they need to package up the applications in ZMM as you saw earlier, and upload them into the app virtualization server. Then I, as the end user, I come along, I log into it with my Active Directory or eDirectory credentials. I see then the applications that the administrators made available to me. If I need a new application, I go back to Service Desk and I request it through the service request features. But when I have the applications available to me, you can see when I run them, it looks just like a native Windows application. There's no difference to me except possibly what the administrator has locked down. If I'm trying to that came down with the app virtualization server. So gives you an idea for application self-service, even on non-corporate owned devices, the bring your own device. But then when we get to the corporate owned devices, the ones that have the ZenWorks agent installed on them most likely, this is where the user-based provisioning comes in handy. A user can walk from any machine to any other machine, log in, and the bundles and policies that are assigned to that user take effect. So for example here, these set of bundles that are assigned to Oscar, when he logs into a machine, we can see in the ZenWorks agent properties that there are several user-assigned bundles that are assigned either to him or to the folder he belongs to. And in the Application Explorer window, he's able to double-click on any of these to have it download and install automatically, even if he doesn't have the right privileges to, if he's not an administrative user, for example. The IT admin sets this up so that he can install it just by clicking on it. He can launch it afterwards, just double-clicking on it again. If something breaks on it, he can right-click and choose Verify and repair it without having to call IT. If he doesn't need that application anymore, he can uninstall it at will, as long as the IT admin sets this up for him in the first place. So giving that little bit of automation set up front really empowers the end user for self-service later on.
Fantastic. Great work, Todd. Well said. So here's the fabric that enables the user-centered workspace, people. Okay, the Novell Endpoint Management portfolio is huge and and comprehensive as well too, filled with amazing capabilities, any of which you will embrace enthusiastically if you knew what they could do, right? But many of you don't know that we did all this or we did all that, and whatever it means to you in terms of value. So when it comes to users and their endpoint devices, our solution has a product that meets every need, from management that keeps endpoint running to security that protects them no matter where they go, and to the help desk that troubleshoots the many problems that the users and their devices will run into, right? So what I'd like to do is, if you have any more interest on what we have discussed today, I would like to point you to this URL right here, which is the URL for the ZenWorks suite that actually has, on this resource tab, it has an immense amount of information that can be absorbed: videos, technical information, podcasts, flyers and brochures and so forth, and go from there. And obviously then from there we can definitely assist you to whatever other things that you might need to. Now, we started this conversation today talking about how today's workforce is expecting different user provisioning model. It really is different. That model that allows them to get their work done anytime from any device, any location, any connection, and also basically demanding a collection application that happens to be most convenient to them, right? So then we describe how Novell can address those challenges by leveraging the feature set of the Novell Sandler suite. So here's a complete representation of how Novell Sandler can help IT organizations enable that spoken and discussed desired new user workspace. And with that, in behalf of Novell and Attachmate, Todd and myself, would like to thank you for spending this time with us. And with that, I'll let you have 10 minutes back from your time.